What do you want to do?
I don't know. We don't have an intro. Welcome, everybody. This is the Glacier Gamble Podcast, episode 40. That is 40. This is a big milestone, just tons of episodes. Feel free to look back at any of our previous ones because we have multiple stories. We've been tweeting about it that we're posting weeks ahead before the big guys post them. And yeah, we're ahead of it. We're ahead of it here. We do our research. We do. I consider myself to have at least one viable source out of Orlando. So, we do our stuff. We do work. So this is our sports section. We have two sections, but we got some good stuff. We got actually some hockey, baseball, quick stuff from Minnesota sports. We actually have some NBA news. And NFL, we have a lot because the NFL offseason will just not take a break for a single day with Tyreek getting traded. Some Vikings talk with Za'Darius Smith. Apparently now the Packers think he's terrible. And what else did I put down here? And then, QB Pro Days and some information about maybe somebody else is coming out of retirement. A little bit of a tease for you. All right, baseball first. The Twins signed Carlos Correa, who is being listed as the biggest signing in NBA history, in baseball history for the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. His year is a 3-year deal for like 135 or something like that. I don't know, something crazy. Baseball contracts are nuts.
3-year deal.
Yeah, 3-year deal. He has the option to opt out after the first year and the second year,
and as do the Twins.
He's getting paid a lot of money for this season, but he also has the opportunity, if he doesn't like it here, that he can opt out and secure another big bag,
which everybody fully expects. There's also like no trade clause. If he's not doing well, they can actually trade him at this year's deadline to a contender, and they would take him. Yeah. And it's huge because the Twins have a young shortstop that they're trying to make better, who can currently transfer over to second base.
Royce Lewis.
And he can also learn behind one of the best shortstops, if not the best shortstop in baseball right now. So yeah, I think it was a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
I think I like this. I don't follow baseball too closely, just the Twins and some of the bigger names, obviously like Tatis and like Judge. Like I follow the big names that you hear about.
Sure. You guys like hit the ball 500 feet.
Yeah. But I like this. I thought when I heard about this, I was like, okay, that's sweet. That's not Trevor's Story, which we were hearing about, but that is probably better. Most people expect him to opt out after year one because he's just showing off what he can do.
Right.
And everybody fully expects him to go to one of the big wigs, like, Dodgers, Braves, or whoever was all the people that were like the last 6 teams available are all like, okay, yeah, we'll take him.
Sure.
And people expect, because after next year, there's something going on with the cap that would allow him to sign like a 5-year, like $200 million, something like that. So that's what people are expecting. But we'll take the rental. We'll do it.
Yeah.
If we can bring a World Series to the Twins, how about that? Yeah. That'd be sick. Yeah. Without pitching, that's not going to happen. But
they did get a pitcher too.
Yes. And obviously, we also have the best pitcher in the history of baseball with Joe Ryan.
Yep. Absolutely.
So they're on their way up. If we had like a Barrios.
Oh yeah,
I think we would have a pretty solid pitching core.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what we got for baseball news. We just want to talk about the Twins. I think that's a huge move, and that's what's expected. Now, one quick hockey thing for Minnesota sports: the Minnesota Wild. They started out just white hot. Could not get hotter. They were insane. They went on like a 7-game losing streak and were still in first by an insane amount of points and wins. But then the wheels fell off. They lost like 10 straight, 11 straight, something like that.
Yeah,
they lost
like
9
of 10 or 15. Yeah, 9 of 10, sure.
Yeah, so they decided they needed to make some moves. They got a goalie, which is the Flower, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, who I
they
believe
call him the Flower because Fleury is Le Fleur is flower in French.
Sure. We went up against him in the playoffs last year, and his team obviously won, beat us. So I think it was a Golden Knight. I can't remember.
I
thought it was a Golden Knight. We lost to the Golden
I
Knights.
thought it was Chicago for some reason. Or maybe that's Delorier. Anyway, they also got Nicholas Delorier, I believe is his full name, Nicholas Delorier. Sure. Huge. The very first game after getting both of those guys, Delorier scored the first goal of the game. So there's one awesome addition right away. I still believe that Kaprizov is our leader in points and stuff.
Points,
but Talbot pitched his second shutout of the season. Yeah. Which it was, I can't remember, it might have been second shutout of his career, but yeah, I talked about this. I texted a buddy of ours saying that I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I think this applies to all sports. When you bring in competition, your best players get better.
Right.
Because they're the ones that want to compete. They're the ones that want to show that they're the best. And I think bringing in Marc-Andre Fleury was the whole reason why Talbot pitched a shutout.
Yeah, and Talbot's not bad at all. Like
no, he's not.
I watched a little bit of it was on TV or whatever. I watched a little bit of the playoffs last year, and it was Marc-Andre Fleury versus Cam Talbot, and like it was like no difference in their play. Like they both were just unstoppable at the time. It's just I think the Golden Knights. I want to say he played for the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights got more goals than we did. So yeah, they're both good.
The team that scores more points wins the game.
Most of the time in like hockey playoffs, you do rotate your goalies too. Like,
well, I mean, a lot of good teams have two solid goalies,
right?
Because they rotate. Because the Wild a few years back, like I would say 5-6 years ago, they had two. They had two really good. Dubnyk. Dubnyk and one other guy, they both rotated. They basically played half the games all year because they both were doing so well.
Sure.
And that was the year they got like round 2 of the playoffs was they were knocked out. I think also by Mike Yeo. Pretty cool. I like that news. I'm not a hockey fan. I've mentioned it multiple times before. Hockey's like my least favorite sport. Yeah. But you got to root for your home team. So
hopefully it's a good time to be Minnesota sports like right now. Like this last week has been insane for Minnesota sports, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. Let's get into the big sports, the ones that everybody likes hearing about. First, we'll talk about NBA.
Soccer.
The world's most popular sport, soccer. Then we'll do cricket. Then we'll do Australian football. Then we'll do basketball. Okay. So first soccer news is with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost to the Phoenix Suns. For those that didn't see the game, they were up by double digits at halftime. And
it looked 13, and then
it looked like they were going to run away with it for a little bit, but after that, I believe Karl-Anthony Towns only scored 3 points after like something like that in the second half. Not a single Timberwolves scored over 20 points. And then when the Phoenix Suns came up, they looked like they were like a varsity team toying with a JV team. I was watching it, and it was bad. It was really bad. Like there was one point where Devin Booker made a pass off the backboard, and the Wolves, if they would have, they could have taken it like an errant shot, like a bad, like taking it like a rebound. He genuinely just passed it off the backboard to a guy over the top of 2 Timberwolves, and they didn't even turn around. They looked like it was a bad shot.
Right.
It was pretty rough. And I thought my takeaway from the game, both teams were clearly playoff teams. It was 2 teams that were very clearly. It was just, you could tell which team was the young team. You could tell which team was less.
Because I mean, like we had having that lead and not maintaining that,
not being able to put it away. You're at home, and the big takeaway for me is that the Timberwolves have always been terrible. Before the season started, they were the worst sports franchise in all sports. When it comes to win percentage. And it was a Wednesday night game, and the stadium was packed and loud. As a Timberwolves fan who stuck by them when they were terrible, it's very cool to see people actually at the game. For sure. I like seeing people actually being there and not being able to go to a game and walk down to the lower level. You buy upper deck seats, and then at halftime you walk down to the lower level because there's nobody there, so you might as well just sit in row 100.
Sure.
It's nice being able to be like, wow, I'm watching. Is that a Timberwolves game, or is that like a March Madness game? It is loud.
Yeah, I mean, you see, it does get electric in there. I went to a game the other day, and it does get very electric. Like once you get a string of really good plays and like made shots, defensive stops, like it gets crazy. It's almost like playoff atmosphere. So
what'd you say, 6 technicals?
There was 5 technicals in that game, but there were 7, but 2 of them were defensive 3 seconds, so you can't really count those. So
my issue with that is the Wolves are getting a habit of like being that like called a cheat team. I even saw that all the talk today on sports networks and all that was that the Wolves are fake tough, that the Wolves are they're Charmin soft, but they portray an attitude of being tough guys.
Right.
And I was like, that kind of seems to be the general
I only saw
consensus.
the two instances. So in the Bucks game, Serge Ibaka was boxing out Taurean Prince, I believe, on a free throw. And he's got the inside position on him on the free throw. He turns around and grabs Taurean Prince and like walks him to the Bucks bench. That's what happened. So I don't know if they were probably jawing or something. They were like talking, right? And so Serge Ibaka grabs Taurean Prince and like walks into the Bucks bench. And so Pat Bev sees this from like half court and he like jogs up a little bit and then he tries to shove Ibaka off of him. And then George Hill pushed Beverly. So, I mean, it's not the fact that, like, Beverly went out of his way to do something cheap. He was trying to get Serge Ibaka off of Taurean Prince. And then in the next one, this one was probably deserved. They probably should have just teed Cat up prior because Cat dunked all over Jay Crowder. Like, just dunked on him. And then started talking shit to him as he was backing up or whatever. And then next time down the floor, Jay Crowder was bumping into Cat and Cat's giving him just a little bit, like nothing excessive, but just like pushing back. And then Jay Crowder, I don't know, flips a tit and just like gets in his face and something. So they probably should have just teed Cat up like on the dunk when he started talking shit, and then it wouldn't have escalated.
Well, yeah. I mean, the NBA is talking about the so small signal potentially becoming an instant technical next year. That could end up happening. We might start seeing that as it occurs, just instantly be a tech.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for. Like, I understand sports have a competitive atmosphere. Taunting is a natural part of a lot of the game. I don't know. I would rather see physicality brought back into the game because when you allow taunting and allow signals like so small, that sort of thing to be in, but then you don't allow these guys to be physical anymore, it makes it seem so fake. And like, that's why when I hear like the league is soft, that's what I see. It's like, okay, well, it's because you're allowing people to be all bark and no bite. I would rather you take away their bark, but let them be all bite. And I'm all for letting guys slam back down and like just maybe knock a guy over by boxing him out. I am all for allowing that sort of physicality and not allowing like the so small. If I'm picking between the two, I'm bringing the physicality in.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, if you would have, so you got to the point where double technicals were issued because you like the refs didn't call the tech prior on Cat because of the bark, if you will. You let it get to the bite phase where both players are now in instances where it's getting too chippy, I guess.
Right. So, as opposed to you let Cat get physical on the dunk, but then on the next part down, you let Jay Crowder try to back him down physically.
Yeah, I mean, like there was no issue with the like physicality of the dunk. Like that's
Jay Crowder even got out of the way. You can see he's like this.
You're gonna post somebody, that's perfectly fine. The jawing that Cat did towards him, like he's probably like soft ass, like pussy, like so.
Well, I mean, if you've been near the courts of any, you can hear. Yeah. I mean, you got to hear in the bubble. You got to hear the way these guys talk to each other on the court. So,
and then, in my opinion, to resolve that, they should have just called the tech on Cat, and then they would have just been like resolved from there.
Right, because Jay Crowder's no longer pissed because Cat gets a tech.
Yeah. So
instead, you let that build up, and then it's gonna explode.
Yeah, the next double tech. Literally, the next time, like Jay Crowder tried to like bump Cat off or whatever and just didn't. Just got a double tech.
And in regards
to the Bucks game, like that almost warranted, like that both teams got a technical, so nothing happened, you know what I mean? And it also was like excessive by Serge Ibaka to do what he did.
And it would be nice to know what happened to make Serge react that way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've heard that Serge is not happy, or like that, like he's just kind of become a mercenary going places 1 year at a time. So he might just be acting things how he feels out. Taurean might have said something very inappropriate, just like because you don't know what people have said. I mean, some of the stories you hear from athletes, it's pretty hilarious what they say to each other, and offensive. I mean, what was it? It was Kevin Garnett, I think. It was Tim Duncan or somebody lost their mom, or Carmelo, somebody lost their mom, and immediately the next game mentioned their mom in trash
Definitely
talk.
sounds like a KG thing.
Yeah, like
100%.
Yeah, so it's like you don't know what some of these guys are saying.
I also
Fleury
think
might have gone over the line somewhere.
Yeah, I also think it's just like you're in the playoff atmosphere right now. So like you're going against the Bucks, clear playoff team. You're going up against the Suns, clear playoff team. You're playing harder. And even in the Mavs game, like I think there was a technical issue in the Mavs game. So like you're getting these playoff atmospheres before, and people are very heated. I get that, but you also have to control yourself, because if this does happen in a playoff series, it could cost you a game. So
right, you could lose a guy. Look, I mean, you could lose one player for a single game, and that gets you down 2-1 when you could have been 1-2, and that could change everything.
For sure.
We have some more basketball news, which was that Jaden McDaniels had an ankle sprain, doing better than expected, and no reason to rush him back unless the 6th seed is possible.
It's very possible that they can get the 6 still, because
the Vegas odds says they're going to get 7.
So Denver is 1.5 up. They play the Suns tonight. Very, very easily could be a loss. And if that's the case, then they would be just 1 game up. And I believe in like 2 games or so, we play them.
Then again, the Suns are playing another playoff team in a back-to-back after playing a hard game where they had to come back.
So, yeah, but I mean, like, they're still within, especially because that 1 game where we play Denver, like, that's a full game we pick up.
And the next team we play is the Mavs.
Yeah.
So if we win the next 2 and and Nuggets and Mavs lose.
Yeah. It's very possible that we can definitely get 6. So I think that's what they're fighting for. It's very possible, but unless it comes down to that last game and Jaden McDaniels has had the okay, then I mean,
let him sit.
And I mean, if you can get the 6th seed from that last game and Jaden McDaniels has got the okay, then send it.
You could even give him limited minutes so he gets warmed up,
right?
So that he's ready for full minutes.
It's just one of those things where usually the league is like a guard for like small forward driven. Like most of the best players we go up against are usually like 2s or 3s. And having the versatility for them to do a high pick and roll and have Jaden McDaniels or Vando or Ant be able to guard those guys.
Right.
Like all 3 of those options, rather than them doing that and it's Pat Bev on them or D'Lo on them.
Right. Well, I mean, you think about look at those teams that we're going up against.
Yeah.
Mavs, Luka, McDaniels might have to go on to Luka.
Yeah, I mean, Ant was on Luka all game, and
held Luka
how
to 15.
How it worked, whoever was setting the pick for Luka Vando was switching on him.
Yeah.
So
Vando's our best defender.
Yeah, and that's an ideal situation.
Yeah.
But being able to have McDaniels do that too is also a good idea.
So earlier this year, a little tangent, you and I pressed really hard to get Miles Turner. We thought the best thing for the Minnesota Timberwolves is move Cat to the 4 and get Miles Turner. DeAndre Ayton had 35 points.
Right.
I don't think DeAndre Ayton should be scoring 35 points against us.
Right.
That's just, I mean, if Vando's a guy who's supposed to be able to guard bigs and Cat is 7 feet tall, I don't think an opposing center should be scoring 35 points unless they're a top 5 center in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I think Miles Turner stopped that from happening.
Yeah, I agree. Also, when we went up against Phoenix earlier in the year, he had like 8 or like 13. I don't know. Tale of two.
So maybe it just shows the versatility of the Suns' offense more than it shows our poor defense.
Yeah. So if the Suns win out, this is just a fun little bit. If the Suns win out, they have 69 wins.
Nice.
So because I think they're 59-13 or something. It's 82 games in a season, so they did 69.
Tonight will be their hard one, I think. Back to back after a hard game against 2 playoff teams. I think it'll be rough, especially with. It's the only way they beat the Nuggets. I don't think Ayton's gonna do what he did last night against Jokic, so probably gonna have to have Booker take over this game.
Yeah,
that's what I would assume. We'll see. I hope the Wolves can get 6th. If they get the 7th seed, I'm really not that worried.
Yeah,
because
win 1 of 2 games.
Have to win 1 of 2. The teams that you go up against.
Fun fact: so if we end up getting 7th and we get into the playoffs, we're either going to be facing Ja Morant that just got injured, or Steph, or we're going to be face the Grizzlies without Ja, or the Warriors without Steph, because Steph is injured.
I'd rather play the Grizzlies because Andrew Wiggins turns into Michael Jordan every time he goes against the Wolves. Yeah. I posted that GIF last time on Twitter. It said Andrew Wiggins every time he goes to the Wolves, and it was a gif of Michael Jordan. And then Andrew Wiggins dropped like 28 points with 5 of 5 from 3. And I was like, this is one every game he comes against the Wolves, he goes on fire.
Yeah.
So I'd rather play the Grizzlies where Jaren Jackson Jr. has to beat you. And that's it for basketball talk, though. I know other things are happening. Kyrie Irving, the New York law is officially over. So Kyrie
can participate.
Yeah. Kyrie Irving will officially be back. I know those sorts of things are happening, but honestly, I'm just going to be straight up honest with everybody listening and watching. Those segments don't get a lot of view time or listen times for us. So we're just going to cover the things that people actually listen to. But let's jump into the NFL. There's something that gets listened to. The first thing, it's kind of just a hypothetical. I don't know if it's genuinely serious or not. So Tom Brady unretires. We knew that. Gronk immediately says like he's coming back for the Bucks. Right. Probably going to play on a cheap deal. But Tom Brady was working out, and he posted like a hype video of him practicing with one receiver, just one guy. But that receiver was running some decent short routes, all mainly within 10 yards. Typical 5-yard curl, 10-yard and out.
Slot.
Yeah, from slot. The Bucks they lost one of their slot guys in AB last year. Mm-hmm. So they're looking for somebody that can maybe just share that load with Scotty Tuhati, Mike Evans, and Godwin. Julian Edelman was that guy he was throwing routes with. Tom made a comment about I'd rather be practicing, no better way to practice routes or something like that. And Edelman looked like he was ready to go. Sure. And multiple people added him, at Julian Edelman, are you coming back? Normally in the past, especially last year when these things were being said, Julian Edelman was like, oh, hell no. No, I'm good. I love being retired. Well, in these past couple days, Julian Edelman has yet to respond to any of these. The only one I believe he responded to Tom's, and he just kind of did the eyes. He did just a cryptic.
Sure.
Is Julian Edelman going to come back to the Bucks? And if he does come back to the Bucks, is he going to be good enough to where they're like, oh, that's a big difference maker for the Buccaneers? Because my first thought, I want to say yes, but then I also know that Tom forced the ball to AB because he was buddies with him. Forcing the ball to Julian Edelman, I don't think has the same effect as forcing the ball to Antonio Brown.
I think I see more as a safety valve.
You think he's gonna play safety?
No, safety valve. If there's leaky pipes, he's gonna stand there and hold it until.
Okay. Then the Washington Commanders need him for their stadium.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I think he would do well. You got Godwin, you got Mike Evans, Gronk. I don't know. You could obviously they've got enough picks where they could draft a weapon or
they got Leonard Fournette back.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see him do well too, just because.
I think he'll do well because he'll be on split roles.
Yeah, and defenses got to account for the bigger playmakers there. Godwin and Evans. Yeah,
I don't question his hands. Yeah. What I question is does he still have it in him? Did the year off make it so Edelman can play 17 games?
Right.
Because his last 2 years when he was in the league, I don't think he was able to play the full 16.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. My thing is, would the year off allow him to maintain his health? I like Julian Edelman. I think he's very good, and I think it'd be sweet if it does work out. Like I said, I don't think he has the impact of an Antonio Brown, even if they're at their ages or whatever. I just don't think.
Right.
I think one of the biggest impacts would be the locker room and maybe helping Scotty Miller with routes. Because right now, I feel like Scotty Miller's issue is he's very fast. He was a sprinter. I think he needs to work on cuts and not necessarily route running, but his footwork in the route running. And that's one thing Julian Edelman has always been nuts with is his footwork looks like a tap dancer in a route runner.
Right.
It's crazy. If he can teach Scotty Miller how to do that, he turns Scotty Miller into a legitimate, I can maybe replace Godwin and we don't have to franchise tag him for a 17th year in a row where he's making more money than Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, I think that'd be a big help for Edelman. I think if anything, that would be why I'd bring him in.
Okay, sure.
Quarterback pro days have been going on. Malik Willis looked phenomenal last pass of the day, 67 yards, I think it was, on the rolling out left, throws it kind of off his back foot, on the money, in the end zone. everybody's freaking out. Just want to remind people, Zach Wilson did something similar, except his was on a line. So I do want to let people know pro days are meant for you to look good.
Right. Yeah, I watched actually the Pat McAfee and Kirk Cousins interview thing, and they asked Kirk about the pro days or something. He's like, yeah, I mean, everyone looks good in shorts and a t-shirt,
with no pressure, no pads, throwing on air, so there's no defense. It's everybody's look good. The main thing that you're supposed to look at when it comes to pro day is how are their mechanics? How's his footwork? How does the ball leave his arm? Does he short hitch on certain throws? Like if he's throwing it on like a 10 and out, does he change his throwing motion? Like that was the issue with Johnny Manziel, is there were certain routes, like there was the 15-yard corner route. For some reason, Johnny Manziel always did this little skip hop. He always did this little hop, and then he'd throw it. And I never understood why he did it. And then I was like, that's going to be an issue in the NFL. He cannot do the little skip hop. And on his pro day, he does the little skip hop. And I was like, what is he doing? So it's just like, you got to look for these little things at the pro days. Everything else, they're meant to look good. If you look bad at a pro day, it's really bad. If you look good at a pro day, it really doesn't matter. The rumors now is that the Lions are interested at picking Malik Willis at 2, or that they're going to take Aiden Hutchinson at 2 and then trade 32 and 34 up into like the mid round and try to take Malik Willis. Multiple scouts. So scouts base their mock drafts on what they hear, not what they think. Most of the time, a lot of the scouts are still putting it as a no quarterback will be taken in the first round pick, like draft this year. I will stick by my guns and agree with those guys. Like that's how I've been saying it this whole time. I don't think there's a first round quarterback. Teams need them though. And I could see a desperate team being like, oh yeah, Malik Willis is available at 13. We got to take him. It's like, no, I think there's better people out there. Congrats though. I hope that this raised his stock, because a first round quarterback makes so much more money than a second round quarterback. So for Malik Willis' sake, for Kenny Pickett, for all these other quarterbacks that have been showing out at their pro days, combine, that sort of thing, hopefully for them, it raises their stock, because they can cash in on that. But if it's up to me, no. If it's up to me, there's so many good rushers, deep offensive linemen, wide receivers. I would take one of these other positions. I would take an early linebacker, because that's not very deep. Just me.
One football news story that's probably the bigger than anything we've talked about.
Let's hear it.
Right now?
Right now, give it.
So even bigger than the Tyreek deal or Davante last week, the Bears.
Oh no, I know where you're going.
They're signing
deal.
All pro offensive first team guard, and you're like, oh my god, did they get Quentin Nelson or Zach Martin?
No, better.
Dakota Dozier is now a Chicago Bear.
He even has a half a sack.
Yeah, did you see that? I straight up
Did you see his best block of his career?
Oh yeah, like breaking up Thielen and somebody.
Yep, stopping Thielen from getting in a fight with the Packers. Man, good luck, Bears. Like we always say, we never root for people's success or never root for people's failures, but hopefully he turns it around in Chicago. If he does anything like he was for the Vikings, you are wasting a roster spot.
Fields, yeah, he's going to be running for his life.
Like, I don't, you know what? I've said it before. I've said this before. We in order to get more people watching, I can't toe the line. I can't be like, oh, he's good. No. Dakota Dozier is terrible and is a waste of a roster spot.
Yeah,
we'll just throw out. He's not good enough for the 53 man. He's not good enough for the 95 man. He's practice squad waste. I don't think he's an NFL caliber offensive lineman, and I don't get what happened. He seems
the
size.
Like a great
he has
guy.
The movement. Yeah,
he's like a great human being. Yeah, his play on the field is
surprisingly bad. I thought you were going to say Marcus Mariota, the Falcons, when you first started that.
No.
Dakota Dozier, best of luck to the Bears. Justin Fields, good thing you're a mobile quarterback. Let's get into the actual big, huge signings. The Kansas City Chiefs have, and so by the way, last 2 weeks, major news. Khalil Mack was signed. And then Deshaun Watson was traded, or no, Davante Adams was traded while we were recording the podcast. So I'm excited to see who gets traded today or signed. Like now is when Baker Mayfield gets traded. He's going to get Baker Mayfield traded to the Green Bay Packers. Like this.
All right.
It's going to be some random ass shit. Oh, probably the Detroit Lions because he actually has a chance to start. But anyway, Kansas City Chiefs potentially got rid of their third best offensive player. I would say third best.
Sure. Yeah.
I would say Mahomes
which is
and Kelsey.
Which is better than 95% of teams' best player.
Yeah.
Their third best offensive player.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are doing everything they can to help Tua. They signed Terron Armstead. They had Waddle last year.
Cade Gesicki.
Yeah, they franchised tag Gesicki. They have two good corners and a good safety. They need to invest in defense. Unfortunately, they don't have a draft pick until pick 102 now.
Like a compensatory, I believe.
So that's rough to help build the team just because you still need some defensive players.
Yeah, I think Miami's looking to shop Davante Parker. They can get some mid-round value for him, apparently. So
I would. I've mentioned it before. Davante's the odd man out, especially if you trade away or get a different quarterback. But yeah, hopefully they do that because I think they still need some help on the defensive side. But they got Tyreek Hill now. The first thing I said, I texted because we've mentioned this before. Our buddy Mike, Dolphins are his favorite team. The first thing I thought of was that's the fastest wide receiver duo in NFL history. There's no way it's not. I can't maybe if Deshaun Jackson had somebody on there was a sixth string on one of his teammates at some point in his career that was super fast. I don't know. I don't think there's ever been a starter, a 1-2, a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 that's ever been faster than these two guys. Sure. The issue is they have a pea shooter trying to get them the ball. I mentioned it last week. I don't like Tua as a quarterback. I don't think he's very good. I think he's extremely low ceiling with a moderately high floor.
Yeah.
You knew where he was. He peaked in college, and now he's still that same player in the pros. I don't know. And Tyreek already said Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Is how that was he said in his welcoming interview. Said Tua is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, maybe in the red zone.
Maybe. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers if we're doing an accuracy test.
Yeah, I mean we talked about his red zone efficiency last week, I believe, but.
And part of that is his weapons. Davante Parker is a go up and get it guy. Mike Gesicki is a my hands stick to everything guy. And Jalen Waddle was the second best rookie wide receiver. So the big thing is he got traded for 5 picks.
Yeah.
That is more than I would have ever expected a starting wide receiver. I don't care how good they are.
Something like that. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. I think the Chiefs did something smart here. I know it hurts them, but wide receivers are not who you want to build your team around. You want to have 2 good ones. You want 2 good wide receivers. If you have an elite tight end, that counts as 1. If Josh Gordon can make his comeback, the one we've been waiting for 10 years, they've got their 2 good. You can always move up and draft now because there's this wide receiver draft is insane.
They did sign Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
He's one of those guys that is a deep ball guy. He's no Tyreek Hill, but he's some guy you can just. He's open downfield. You can just throw it up to him. So he doesn't have the speed of Tyreek Hill, especially with pads, and he doesn't have the hands. MVS has issues with drops. That's the big thing. Now he's got, a cannon throwing it to him. He might be one of those guys. You got guys like Sidney Rice. Sidney Rice was amazing at catching balls being thrown at to you super hard. That's why Brett Favre loved Sidney Rice. Right.
But then you got guys like Nate Burleson. Nate Burleson needed you to float it to him because if you cannoned it, he dropped it.
Yeah.
And you don't know, is MVS going to be one of those guys that gets better now that he's got a cannon, or is Mahomes going to have to do a raindrop to him every time, which just makes Kelsey more valuable? I think the Chiefs, they loaded up. They need the open money. I'd rather not give $30 million to a wide receiver.
Right.
Justin Jefferson, but I don't want.
Yeah, here's the thing. Kirk's deal is up in 2 years, and Justin Jefferson's extension is going to be in 2 years. Yeah. We're going to have money. We're going to have money available.
I really hope. I love Justin Jefferson. I view him very highly, but $30 million is way too much.
Yeah.
$30 million, especially with everything moving to fully guaranteed. All right, yeah, we can give you $30 million, but you're going to have Sean Mannion throwing you the ball, right?
Right.
I just don't see. I'm obviously people can mold the salary cap, but you have to have the right players being elite to afford. Like you have Derek Carr on a cheap deal, in my opinion.
Right.
So you have a very good quarterback on a good price. You have an elite tight end and a very good running back, and now you have Davante. So you can afford to give Davante that money because you have the right offensive position. But the Raiders are going to be 35 to 42 every game.
Right.
They don't have enough pieces on defense, and they're not going to be able to sign any.
Yeah, the ideal
Chandler
situation,
Jones and Max Crosby. That's
the
it.
ideal situation is Justin Jefferson's going to get. I guess this is what a lot of people are saying is Justin Jefferson gets that huge contract. Okay, but we do find Kirk's heir apparent, and then for the length of Justin Jefferson's first big contract. We have a rookie on a rookie contract.
You'd have to.
And then by the time Justin Jefferson's first contract's done, he's gonna require less money, and then the rookie can then get signed to a bigger deal. I guess that's how they're seeing it. But
we'll find out. We'll see, because Justin Jefferson also has a huge personality, and I could see him easily wanting to go to a coastal state.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we'll see what happens there. I want to talk about it from the Miami Dolphins point of view over the Chiefs, though. They're looking like a win because everybody else is talking about Chiefs point of view.
Right.
I think Tyreek Hill makes any team better. The Dolphins odds to win the Super Bowl went from 70-1 to 40-1.
Sure.
That is a bigger increase of odds than Russell Wilson gave to the Broncos.
Right.
That is a bigger increase of odds than there was a decrease of losing Davante Adams.
Right.
Like Tyreek Hill caused a huge change. And part of that might be, the Dolphins making their other moves. Like part of that might be Terron Armstead and Tyreek Hill both combined. But I love what the Dolphins are doing. Everything's on Tua now. You're going to hear it from everyone. The Dolphins are going to be a focus, and it's going to be, can Tua do it? At this moment in time, my vote would be no. I don't think Tua can do it. I think Tyreek Hill is going to have a lot of missed opportunities. He's in a division that is fairly easy to beat consistently. The Jets aren't going to be able to stop him.
They beat
Bills,
the Patriots twice last year.
Right, and now they don't have J.C. Jackson.
Yeah.
So
they have done nothing for the offense of Mac Jones. So
right. So I think Tyreek Hill's going to be open. Tyreek Hill's going to be wide open for half the games this year. Because he's going up against a very weak defensive back division. The Bills always talk about how good their safeties are, but those safeties got torched by everyone last year, and then they got mad at people for calling them out on it in a post-game press conference. Yeah, I think Tyreek Hill's going to be wide open for half of his games. He's from Miami, so he wanted to be there. He told the Jets, because the Jets were the other team, and he said, I was never going to be going to the Jets.
Yeah. As everyone should say.
So this is probably a controversial take here. I would rather have Zach Wilson trying to get me the ball as Tyreek Hill than Tua. Zach Wilson's going to get me a deep ball.
Both of them.
What?
I would rather have Mike White than both of them.
I'd probably would have. Mike White is like the flash in the pan, but what Mike White showed more potential in that 2 games than Zach Wilson did. It's just we've seen Zach Wilson make a lot of major good throws. Zach Wilson is just also very Sam Darnold-esque. Like, wow, if only he could do that every play.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be one play a game? But I mean, Tua's just the safe guy. I don't think Tyreek Hill is the wide receiver that you give the safe guy.
Right.
Unless you plan on, Tyreek Hill's going to get sweeps. The other huge thing here in this trade that I think people need to talk about is Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I was going to say this too. You've got an offensive, you have tons of weapons all around, right? You got 3 running backs that you can put out there. If you're the old regime, they're not going to use any of them. But Mike McDaniel, assuming he's going to use something similar to the Niners, but put his own wrinkle on it.
Well, they got they picked up 2 running backs. They got Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds. So they're going to run.
Yeah.
And then
they also have Myles Gaskin. Let's not forget about that. Who's a amazing pass catcher.
Right.
As well. So
you have Myles Gaskin for the pass game. You got Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert. When you need some speed, Mostert's also an incredible special teams guy. But then Ayuk and Deebo Samuel on the Niners were super speedsters that were great on short routes, deep routes, wide receiver screens, sweeps. Now you have Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Right. I think Mike McDaniel is knowing exactly what he's doing here. And he's going to make Tua the new Jimmy G, where you have a guy who people are going to question whether or not he's good for the length of his career, because they're going to win games. The Dolphins are going to win games in spite of Tua, not because of Tua, but they are going to win.
Right.
And then people are going to be like, well, you have to keep Tua then. And then Tua's going to get a big contract, and the Dolphins are going to keep winning, but they're going to keep winning because they have the offense of Mike McDaniel. And that's what I see from here. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to have whatever his over-under in Vegas for his rushing yards would be. I would surprise, or maybe like passing yards from behind the line of scrimmage. Either of those, I think, will be over what he's ever had in his career. I think he'll have more rushing yards than he ever had in a single season in Kansas City, and more screen catches than ever in Kansas City.
Sure.
That'd be my guess, because Tua's not throwing him the ball 60 yards down the field. Yeah. That's the big NFL news that happened this week. Let's go over to the Vikings talk to finish off the episode. First thing, Vikings signs Za'Darius Smith. If you ask a Green Bay Packer fan, Za'Darius Smith is trash. Yeah. They already have Rashawn Gary and Devondre Campbell, so screw Za'Darius Smith. We were loyal to him until he was cut, but it's all his fault. We hate him now. You ask a Vikings fan, Za'Darius Smith's always been good. He's always wreaked havoc, and now he gets to be on our team. And I said my first thing, Preston Smith is the better Smith guy. Devondre Campbell is incredible. Rashawn Gary is very good. Za'Darius Smith is still good. There's a reason why he was set to make 20-some million for the Packers this year. Right. I think he's always been good, and he's still good.
Absolutely, yeah. They said he's probably just from a pass rushing standpoint, he's like top 15. But when it comes to just like, I'm going to rush the quarterback, like pin your ears back and just get after it.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy.
Meet at the quarterback, So, I just once we got him, I was like, all right, nice, like that's sweet. And then he said in this press conference that, I talked to Danielle Hunter, or I sent a message to Danielle Hunter, and I said, hey, like I'm coming in, I might be signing here, and he says and Danielle Hunter texting him back, he's like, great, now we can be like the best pass rushing duo in the league.
However, he is trying to get Danielle to come to Florida and train with him, and Danielle has not arrived.
Danielle's working out somewhere else. They're working out at some gym somewhere.
So then maybe Za'Darius should go to them instead of asking them to come to him.
Yeah, I'm sure he's trying to be nice. Brian O'Neill texted Za'Darius Smith too, and he says, I'm so glad you're here, so I don't have to go up against you twice a year. And granted, Brian O'Neill stood his ground versus anybody.
Yeah, Brian O'Neill's given up like 1 sack in the past 2 years, so it's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
So, a holy overpay, though.
Most overrated lineman, most overpaid lineman in football. Who has better stats than Quentin Nelson? But we'll set that. So trash.
We called him a Pro Bowler before. So I got the news that we signed, or you texted me, and you're like, Za'Darius Smith, baby, let's go. And I was like, all right, I was like, hell yeah, we got him. And then I'm just thinking, I'm on break, I'm eating Cheez-Its because they have crack in them.
And for those listening, that was before he was signed. That was after his visit, and then he was liking all these Vikings tweets.
Yeah, and then meet at the quarterback.
And I was like, okay, yeah, he's coming here. I don't care. So anyway, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking, and Danielle's been working out or whatever. They're talking to him, and he's like, listen, the last 2 years have been unfortunate. Just with my health, but I feel better than ever. Like I'm healthy. He's doing these crazy workouts where he's like spinning around and like I don't know, doing like half moon circles.
You said this was Danielle, or was this
Za'Darius? Danielle. So they're talking to Danielle, and he's like, "But I'm ready to go. Like let's go." So now I've got confirmation that Danielle's ready to go. And apparently the Vikings brass are trying to find an extension for him after they eventually just gave him the money, converted it to a signing bonus, whatever. They're trying to work on a deal for him, probably to lighten the load, stretch it out, make him a Viking for life. But just picturing Danielle Hunter as like an end, and then Za'Darius Smith outside of him, that just makes me like, ooh.
And then you got Harrison Phillips next to Danielle.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of Harrison Phillips, you have...
Yeah,
that's who I want to know. That's what I want to know. We got to finish out that front seven, and I'll be very excited. We also... J.C. Treader, Stephon Gilmore, Tyrann Mathieu. If we can make one more major move to show that they want to win now, that'd be awesome. If not, go make some smaller moves, please. Like go sign a couple backup corners, like guys that were threes that maybe we can get to be what?
Callahan, a lot of people.
Right, like go get somebody that like might have some potential.
Right.
Otherwise, you're relying on rookies, which scary. The pessimist way to view this Za'Darius Smith thing is the Vikings have an unreliable, injury-prone defense or pass rusher that was overpaid, and now they have a second unreliable, injury-prone edge rusher that might be overpaid. I think the positive way to view it is way better. We have a top. I was looking at it. There is not really a better duo of linebacker edge rush next to each other in football. You have Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. If they're there, like that's one up there. You got Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, but they're right up there with those guys. So it's all great news. I think that the positive way is much more fun. The Vikings are still a couple moves away, in my opinion, from being exciting.
I mean, we talked the other day, like if they get Treader, I'm fine with just a hodgepodge of talent at the right guard position and just best man wins.
Figuring it out.
Point. Like you're probably going to draft an interior lineman. He can battle for that spot. Wyatt Davis can battle for that spot. You have Oli Udo, which I prefer not to put out there, but like,
same. Yeah, as long as Ezra takes another step forward, like he has been. As long as you have Darrisaw, Ezra. I don't know. We'll talk about Wyatt Davis in a second here. Then you got Brian O'Neill and J.C. Treader. I am fine with a hodgepodge at right guard, going heavy draft into front seven, just all defense. I'm fine with that, especially if we can make one more defensive free agent move as well with J.C.
Yeah, I mean, we have to. We're not drafting 5 corners.
Please. So please do something. Other than that, it is very exciting. Super exciting. I'm happy. The Za'Darius Smith move was surprising. When I heard he backed out of the Ravens, I said it last week, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, he just seems like a Ravens guy. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I'm excited that he chose the other purple team. The last Vikings topic we have, though, is involving Wyatt Davis. Rick Spielman apparently went rogue when drafting Wyatt Davis, and not a single scout on the team wanted Wyatt Davis. Not a single coach or assistant coach said that Wyatt Davis should be on the draft board. And Rick Spielman didn't care. When Wyatt Davis was on the board at their pick, he called it in. And the scouts and the coaches were surprised because they didn't think he had called the pick in. And so they were shocked when it was announced they had actually drafted Wyatt Davis. The other coaches and scouts didn't think that actually had happened. Yeah, Rick Spielman just went rogue. So a big reason why Wyatt Davis didn't play a snap has come out, which is the fact that the offensive lineman coach didn't want him. The offensive line scouts didn't want him. Head coach didn't want him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they didn't want him, sure, for some reason. I'm sure there was probably some bitterness still with, I mean, we've talked about Zimmer before, about even like giving him a shot regardless on who picked him or whatever. But it's not like he wasn't like a bad prospect. Like he wasn't bad.
He had an injury in college that was worrisome, and the Vikings are a little nervous on drafting. It sounds stupid, but drafting Ohio State linemen after Elfline, and they had they've drafted 3 Ohio State linemen now that have not worked out. So I think part of it is they are worrisome about Ohio State guys.
I mean, like, what, he was projected like 3rd, 4th round anyway, right?
He was a 3rd round pick. Yep.
I mean, hopefully the new regime can find something with him. We were calling for him all year, so like, yeah, hopefully he gets a chance.
Even if he can be developed into a guy that is the Joe Berger type role, where you might start some games, you might be that guy that, okay, this guy is exhausted, he needs one round of he needs one series of breaks.
Yeah.
Wyatt get in there for a series.
Yeah.
Even if he can develop into one of those guys.
Yeah, and if you do go get J.C. Treader, you're putting in between 2 top 5 at their position players. So,
and you have a top 5 fullback to help if you need to double,
and the top 5 running back.
Right. So you have a fullback to help Wyatt Davis and hope the other 4, especially this is all insinuating you get Treader.
Yeah.
If you get him, CJ Ham can kind of lean more towards helping Davis or whoever is at guard, O'Neal can one-on-one anyone. Treader can one-on-one anyone. Darisaw seems like he could one-on-one anyone.
Right.
So he could just focus on helping the guards.
Yeah.
And Dalvin Cook excels in screen passes and outside runs. So guard, I'd rather be weaker at guard than tackle. It's just pressure up the middle is the hardest thing for a quarterback.
Yep. And we have not had a great centers in Kirk's tenure.
Center. Nope.
So
I'm just hoping for Treader. That's what I want. I just want Treader. If they don't get Treader, I want Linderbaum in the draft. Because Linderbaum is projected to be going after the Vikings in every pick. Iowa center who can play guard. So honestly, if one of the corners you don't want is there and you do get Treader, you could always get Linderbaum for guard.
The most recent mock draft had us moving up to 7 to get Sauce
Gardner.
Yeah. Sauce Gardner, yeah.
I'm for it. That Sauce is obviously the top one you want, not giving up a single touchdown in his entire college career. I'm getting, my research is getting deeper now. Eventually I would like potentially an entire, as the draft gets closer, probably in April, an entire episode dedicated to the draft would be pretty sick.
Sure. We'll find an extra day, like any day. You give me the script and I'll ask you the questions and you can just go off with all your knowledge.
We could do that.
We also have that subscription plan to I forgot what it was, that OnlyFans, but I mean the
Only Dads,
GSN, the Glacier Sports Network. We still have that. So
we do. Last time we had one of those guys over, though, he got sick.
He choked. Let's just say he choked
a couple times. That's all we got for sports talk this week. You got anything else?
March Madness.
I know. March Madness. I surprisingly, first year in a long time, I haven't even looked at a bracket.
So exciting.
I love March Madness. One and dones have been the best thing to happen to college basketball in a long time.
Yeah.
I'd rather guys either be able to come out of high school or be there for at least 2 years. I've said it before, like, I don't like the middle of the road one and done.
Yeah.
If you make them stay 2 years or you make them stay 4, like women's basketball, or they can come straight out of high school, I'm fine with either end of the spectrum, but you gotta pick one. This one and done thing is just so dumb. None of these guys build chemistry. They're all selfish players because they're trying to make their way into the NBA.
Right.
It's not about being a teammate. It's about being an individual star, which is why you always hear about it. Like, oh, March Madness is the best because you get to see which the cream rises to the top. Who's the new star? And if that's it, like, you get to see the star. John Morant was that guy. Like, he became the star of the NCAA tournament for a while.
Right.
Cade Cunningham was the guy everybody was watching. It's like, no, I want you to tell me which team. That's why people root for people like San Diego State or Wichita State. Like, these teams get rooted for because these are the teams that have seniors that are all playing together. And it's like, why is this 13 seed winning every year?
The Zags center, not Chet, but the other dude with the handlebar, like, mustache.
Yeah.
He's been there all 4 years. Like, he stayed. Right.
Like, yeah. You need.
But everyone's talking about Chet. So.
But everybody talks about Chet. Everybody talks about Jalen Duren. Everybody talks about Paolo Banchero. Like, it's not about the Gonzaga Bulldogs. It's not about the Zags. It's not about the Blue Devils. It's about this specific player. And you get rid of one and done, and that changes. Then you go back to, you hear about the Fab Five. You hear about I don't know. You hear about that more. So I haven't been paying attention to March Madness. I watched to see who wins. Rooting for Gonzaga because Chet's from Minnesota.
Right.
I think Paolo Banchero is the number 1 overall pick, and it shouldn't be close. It's like when Karl Anthony Towns came out, everybody was talking about he's a top 3. These people like Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, these guys are the top guys.
Jaleel
Okafor. And then you look at it, and as soon as the draft is even like considering happening, it's like, okay, no, Karl Anthony Towns is the number 1, and then it's a huge drop off. I think Paolo Banchero is number 1. It's not close. He's 6'10", can shoot the 3, can dribble, can pass. He's good in the post game, decent free throw shooter, good on defense. He's good. Chet can play defense, but he won't play defense at the level he is playing in college at the NBA level. Luckily, he's young and can still go through a growth spurt. But unless he does do that, he's going to have to play. He's going to have to be like a wing, a 7-foot wing.
Yeah, he needs to be on that Zion diet. That's what he needs.
He needs something. Like he might just have one of the people that can't gain weight, has issue gaining weight. But because like he used to post videos of working out. It's clearly not really building up much.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see. I like Chet a lot. So we'll see what happens. I just think Banchero is who I would want. Anyway, that's it for the sports section, episode 40. Yeah, see you next week. Episode 41. This was episode 40. You all look phenomenal today.
Phenomenal.
GG.
Love you. GG.